if this was your friend, your co-worker, your acquaintance, or member of your family, when deciding whether or not to share what you know. We believe that someone within Orangeville and or the greater community has information about this senseless and vicious crime, and we are asking you to find the courage and strength to come forward. My daughter deserved to live her life to the fullest. She did not deserve to die at the end of someone who felt her life was worthless and his too is taken. Please do not assume that the police already know what you have seen or heard. No information is too small or insignificant. There is nothing that can describe the pain we feel, and nothing will ever fill the void that many of us are feeling at this moment. We urge you to continue to keep your eyes and ears open and to contact the police or Crime Stopper with any information you have. Please help us achieve justice to Sonia and those of us who love and miss her dearly. This Christmas, there will be an empty sitting at our table where Sonia used to sit with her bright smile, talk, joke, and just enjoy Christmas with all her family. I wish this feeling on no one, so please help. Thank you. En italiano.
Sorry?
The CBC mic,
It's... Is that okay? Sonia's mother, Michelle, was assisted there by her son, Vivian. At this time, I would like to call upon Chief Joseph Tomey of the Orangeville Police Service. Chief?
Thank you, Peter, and good morning, all. I'd like to take a very brief moment to thank Mrs. Varaschin for certainly having the courage and with speaking to us this morning. It's a very difficult time for her and her family. Sonia went missing on August 30th, and our most seasoned investigators have been working around the clock on this case. This dedicated investigative team have utilized all available resources in an effort to apprehend the person or persons responsible for this murder. Now, these resources have included hosting a 3-day investigative summit and meeting with criminal profile experts, not only from our country, such as the OPP and the Rcmp, but also at the FBI Behavioral Analysis Unit located in Quantico, Virginia. The summit also included the participation of very senior homicide investigators from the OPP, York Regional Police, the Toronto Police Service, Ottawa Police Service. At this time, we ask the community as a whole to continue to exercise personal safety while in public and at home. I'd now like to turn it over to Detective Inspector Mark Pritchard of the OPP to speak about the summit and to update the press on this investigation. Thank you.
After a 3-day meticulous review of this case, behavioral science experts believe it's important for the public to be aware of specific traits that Sonia's killer may possess and may have demonstrated around the time of her murder and around the time that her body was discovered. In order to focus the police manhunt on the killer, the following theories are being made to the public. Investigators believe that the man that is responsible for the murder of Sonia Varaschin is very familiar with the Orangeville area and likely the Beechgrove Sideroad in the town of Caledon, specifically in the area where her remains were discovered. The location where Sonia's body was found is an area where the offender may be comfortable with and is likely known to him, whether as a result of recreation, occupation, or illegal activities. Within the days following the murder of Sonia Varaschin, August 29th and 30th, 2010, and again within the days following the discovery of her remains, September 5th, 2010, the behaviors displayed by the killer may have been seen as out of the ordinary or unusual by his family, associates, friends, or others that may have had interaction with him. These behaviors may include things like unexplained absences from his work, his usual activities, whether work, school, or missed appointments. There may have been an increase in his alcohol or drug use, and he may have been seen as being irritable, agitated, and anxious. This person may also have moved from the area shortly after the occurrence, or limited his social interactions to avoid detection. We are confident that this case will be solved and are continuing to seek the assistance of the public with this investigation. We released these behavioral traits today in a bid to zero in on Sonia's killer. Someone familiar with the killer may recognize these traits, and we are appealing to that individual or those people to come forward and call the police immediately. Again, we'd also like to draw attention back to our previous release of the bootwear impression that was left at the scene of the crime on display here today, which was a size 10 or 11 Mark's Work Warehouse boot, well, work boot, or just a regular boot. That sole is available on approximately 6 different models of boot. And again, the killer may have had that at the time, may still have it, or may have disposed of it since that time. And we'll take questions.
That's pretty vague. Sorry, relevant to Sean's son, that behavioral outline is pretty vague. It applies to a lot of people for having an affair or something like that. Is there no more specific that you could provide? Like, is it a male? Is it...
Well, yes, we refer to it as he. There's every confidence that it is a male. As far as being specific, though, these are investigative theories. So if we narrow in on anything that's absolutely specific, we might be eliminating somebody by doing so, and that's why we're asking for anybody who's recognized these behavioral traits to call us. It doesn't matter if it's vague, we'll still follow it up. Well, that causes me to speculate, but it's certainly possible.
Based on what the profile was told you, can you give a clear snapshot of this person that you're looking for?
I'd say he's a cold-blooded killer. He killed somebody who we'd consider a very low-risk victim and engaged in some very high-risk behaviors, entering a home, killing the resident, removing her body in the close confines of a townhouse complex, driving down the highway in her car, disposing of her body, and then once again driving down the highway in her car again, returning almost to the scene of the murder, this time with the blood clearly visible on the outside of the car to anybody who saw it. So, you know, again, any tip that's significant can be, you know, what's going to break open this case and help us bring Sonia's killer to justice and bring some justice not only to her family but to the community as well.
As of now, is the boot tech the only piece of hard evidence the investigation has for us?
I can't speak to any evidence at all.
Are you saying in the release of the issue that you're confident you will catch Sonia's killer by 4 months and you don't seem to be any further ahead?
Well, that's not true. We're not further ahead. I mean, the investigation doesn't take place in the public eye. We have an extreme number of resources dedicated to the case. We're pursuing numerous leads. The public's been very engaged. We've had in excess of 460 tips from the public. We've interviewed in excess of 500 people, and we've acted out over 1,500 actions that the detectives have been assigned to. and have numerous more still to act upon.
Can I get your name so I know I'm talking to you, please?
Is there, given the violence here, as you said, the cold-blooded nature and the high-risk behavior, is there any theory that this person has done this before, or at least has had anger or violence issues towards women in the past? What's the prior history, do you believe, of this individual?
Is there things that you do to them?
Well, you know, that again causes me to speculate, and I really can't do that. Again, if I speculate onto the type of person involved or what his background or behavior may have been, I might be eliminating somebody.
Detective Inspector Richard, just last week a woman was attacked violently in her home not far away. Are you looking at this possibility of future offenders?
Well, you know, the two main ways you connect cases are through physical or forensic evidence. It's too soon to make any connections that way. And the other way is through similarities between offenses. And these two attacks are so dissimilar at this point we can't make a connection. To answer your question, we can't say they're not connected, but we don't see any similarities. That investigation is being conducted separately, and we're in regular contact between the two investigative teams and attending briefings with that investigative team.
From City TV. What theories can you draw by the fact that this person left the car doors wide open, drawing attention to that vehicle? Are there any sort of theories attached to that? And also, one other question, have you released any weapon that may have been used in this crime?
We haven't released any weapon, and we're not going to do so. Certainly the person engaged again in some very high-risk activity, you know, perhaps even reckless in driving down the highway with blood on the exterior of the car, to the extent of removing her body from the scene in this very close community of townhouses that are very tight together. Could I get your name, please?
Naomi from CTV News. You've called him a cold-blooded killer, so residents have been concerned in the last few months, are concerned still. Should they be concerned that this person may kill again?
Well, I referred to him as a cold-blooded killer because I think that's what happened. Anybody who enters somebody's house where you should be safe and kills you, in my view, is cold-blooded. Perhaps I could ask Chief Tomei to address the public safety aspect of that question.
Again, we're asking people to take very normal precautions like locking your cars and locking your homes. These are very common sense type of activity that anybody should be involved in, because we can see that this can happen in the very safest communities. So violence does occur out there, and let's be safe.
Are you concerned this person will reoffend?
Again, it's a matter of speculation. Cannot say.
What did the behavioral scientists say? Did they say he found out he was going to be examined?
We have had investigators from Vi-Class involved in this investigation since its onset, and we have not seen any specific similarities that may help us move forward.
What's so special about this case that you put together this team of investigators? You mentioned that it was unprecedented. What drew everybody to this?
Well, you know, in Canada, this type of crime is highly unusual. It rarely happens. You know, so we looked for expertise and brought together not only very seasoned and experienced homicide investigators from within Ontario. We involved criminal profilers from the Rcmp and the FBI. Our criminal profiling unit works closely with the FBI. We do research with them. They were interested in this case, and you know, part of it was to validate our theory, our investigative theories, and to help us focus in on the killer.
That's a news conference out of Orangeville, and on your screen right there is Detective Inspector Mark Pritchard. He is with the Ontario Provincial Police and talking about a murder that occurred in that area back in August of this year, when Sonia Varaschin went missing at the end of August. Her body was found a few days later on September 5th. She had been killed. The killer has not been apprehended, and really what this was an appeal for the public's help. They issued some behavioral suggestions that people could look for, you know, that there might have been a change in behavior. They might have been, the killer or killers may have been less social, may have moved from the neighborhood afterwards. So they were giving out that information. They also said suggested the killer was very familiar with the area. It might twig some information from somebody. They have already interviewed more than 400 or had more than 400 tips, interviewed more than 500 people in this, but the case is ongoing, and they've been working with the FBI to come up with a criminal behavior pattern for the killer, so some kind of behavioral identity. But perhaps the most emotional of this news conference was not Mark Pritchard. It was the mother of 42-year-old Sonia Varaschin who was killed. Her name is Michele Varaschin, and she appealed for people with any information to call police, saying that her daughter did not deserve to die, that please, if you're out there, don't assume that the information you have, the police have as well. Call them and get that information out there. She said nothing can describe the pain that she and her family feel, and nothing will fill the void. As I say, very emotional.